What's up, Internet? Back again with a little informational tutorial, I guess. Maybe that's what you'd call it. We're here today to talk about catappa leaves and some of the benefits and the reasons that I use them in a lot of my aquariums, from this 150-gallon cherry shrimp tank to the rummy nose 240-gallon tank, the 60-gallon killie tank, and even the crebensis tank. So basically right now, almost all of my freshwater aquariums are utilizing catappa leaves. And why is that? There are just many reasons why they bring a lot of positive things to a water environment, whether it comes to breeding, which is very important for breeding, because as they break down, a lot of microbial things are happening. I like to simplify things a little bit for you guys, but basically, as they break down, a lot of tiny little critters are essentially being able to, breed and spawn, which ends up in turn being food for, like baby invertebrates or brand new fish fry that have just been born, whether they came from egg or even a live bear like a guppy or something like that. It's a very useful way to help feed your fish. Basically any of the babies. The breaking down of this will provide a bunch of food for them, from infusoria to any of that kind of stuff, and I find it to be wildly useful, not only in once they've hatched, but it's also super helpful for egg scatterers and stuff like that, which the rummy nose over there are going to be doing quite a bit of that coming up fairly soon. So it's going to give me a good opportunity to allow them to throw eggs down along with the apistogramma that are in that aquarium. It's going to help out with both of those and help just create a positive environment for the fish to be breeding and their babies. Essentially, it's going to be a great thing. Now, another reason why I find catappa leaves to be I wouldn't say that they're 100% important, but I find them to be wildly important, and that's because they're going to bring in a lot of tannins into the aquarium, which are wildly helpful for the fish that are full grown. It's essentially the way that I equate it, because it looks like iced tea. The way that I would relate it really easily would be to somebody that on a really hot day and you're sitting outside in the sun, what's going to be kind of the most refreshing thing for you? It'd be like, a nice glass of iced tea, you know what I'm saying? So that's like the layman's way of explaining what is a pretty complex situation, but to just abbreviate it real quickly, it's going to bring my pH down just a little bit and help kind of buffer the water and provide some botanicals in there. So when I say iced tea, it's because it looks like iced tea. It's not actually going to make iced tea, right? But it's basically adding in a lot of botanicals and things that are good, sort of like a moisturizer for a human. If you go rubbing that on you, your skin feels better. It's basically the same way that it relates to fish. Obviously, this isn't a super scientific video or anything like that. I'm just trying to break it down so that people just have a little bit of an understanding of why to use these. Now, catappa leaves or almond, it's the catappa is the word for an almond tree. I don't know which country that comes from, but that's what they call it. And it's not the only leaf that you can use. There are a bunch of other kinds of leaves that you can use out there, like oak and maple, just to name a couple that are local to me. But one of the big problems that I have in the area that I live in Western Washington, is it's never dry here for any good amount of time when the leaves come down. So if maybe if the leaves were to fall at the beginning of spring and then dry out over summer, I would maybe have a good opportunity to get some good dry leaves. But I essentially never do, because in the fall, when the leaves do come down, it's pretty much raining every day, and they never really have a great chance to break, to actually dry out, which means I have to go try and collect leaves that are brown and have fallen off of a tree but are still wet, and then dry them out, which is just a huge endeavor, realistically, when you're talking about something that's like, you know, a couple of dollars for a package like this. This even has like the don't eat gel in it, right? And they came this came 10 per bag. Where I typically would get them from is like Amazon. I'll normally go on Amazon, find them pretty cheaply. I happened to get this specific bag when I was up at the aquarium co-op because I wanted to check them out and see how they were bagged and stuff. And I have to say, pretty darn convenient to have just like 10 in a bag as opposed to what I normally get, which would be like 100 sort of loose in a package that I normally gets trashed before I end up using them all. I'm going to give you guys my quick equation on like how many of these leaves I use in my 150 gallon here. I'll add 2 to 3 of these a week. Well, not 3, 2. I add 2 a week. Sorry about that. I add 2 a week, and then once the leaf litter starts to get kind of built up in the sump, because I don't actually add them into the display, I actually add them into the sump. Once they kind of start to break down, I'll actually pull out the old stems and stuff. So hold on a second. I'm going to actually take you down there and show you where I've got them in the sump. We can take a look, and I'll show you what it's like down there. Okay, we're down here in my sump area. I can show you where I add the catappa leaves down here, otherwise known as the almond leaves, okay? I always add them in the first chamber right here, and you can see there's all these shrimp climbing all over them and stuff like that. Here's some that I added just recently. As you can see, they kind of have this crazy, you know, consistency to them. I guess this time around I did actually add 3 instead of 2. Hey, so maybe I was right. I am adding 3 into this one. But here's some that are fairly newly added. Well, that's why I added 3, because I only had 1 from before. Here's one that's been in there for probably 2 weeks now. You can see how it's starting to break down, starting to fall apart. And every time I grab one of these, the shrimp go running away. Then, let's find one here. All right. So here's one that's been in there for probably, you know, 3 weeks, maybe a month now. A little guppy grass too. This has been in there for quite a while. You can see how broke down it is. Basically, all we got left is the little spine of it here, whatnot. Basically, been completely broken down and consumed by the shrimp and by all the other things going on in there, and providing food for my crazy shrimp colony that is in this aquarium. But it's a big help. Once it's to the stem part here, oftentimes it'll even get broken down all the way to this point here where there's just a tiny bit left. I can clean this out if I like, or just leave it in there. It'll eventually go away. I mean, it'll break down and end up going away. I find the catappa leaves to be the easiest way, like I said, because I can't collect them around here necessarily, because the oak leaves and the maple leaves and stuff like that, I can just never really get a hold of them when they're just dried out and dead. So I find the couple of bucks throwing it down on the internet is way easier, and then it gets dropped off at my house. So that's the way that I'm going about it. If you are somebody who wants to go out there and collect them yourself, you just want to make sure that there are no toxins on them from tree spraying or any of that kind of crazy stuff. Like maybe they've been out there spraying for moths or you know, caterpillars or anything kind of nutty like that, and not introduce those toxins to your aquarium. But just make sure that if you're collecting them, that you do identify and get the right leaves. Like I said, oak and maple are 2 that come off the top of my head. that would be that are good to go, that are good to add in. There are a lot of resources online that you can look at. A couple of places that if you're looking to get some of these, like I said, I'll post some links down below that you guys can check out. You know, either you guys could go to either Amazon and grab some off of there, or you could go to the Aquarium Co-op. And I know that Corey stocks these for sure. And like I said, that bag actually was from the Aquarium Co-op. So, you know, but I've been using these for years and years. A ton of success, ton of help maintaining my water quality, my water parameters, and helping, like I said, you know, feed all the little critters and all that stuff. And you know, so hopefully it's a tip that helps you out and helps you keep your aquariums running well. Thanks. Later? Or later? Later? Where's that button? Oh, there it is.